if you're leaving to show this is what it's like when black people aren't around. But anyways, I'm just going to get to the point of it because that's not even the bad part. The thing they wanted to do this year.
It's like, well, with the void, I mean, if no one shows up to class, there's going to be no one on campus. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Well, it was
just
just...
if you're black or not.
But it was just the black students that would leave. So now, this year, I think this was in 2017, they were going to do the day of absence, but it was white students don't show up to school. White staff don't show up to school. It wasn't even the black. We're choosing to leave to make a point. It's the white students and staff should not come to school this day. It's not mandatory, but it's suggested you do not come to school. And I don't know what the purpose of that was. If it was like, I'm not sure. But he let out an email. He said like, I'm not going to not show up to school. And this is like, if this is going to be the product of what this council is, I'm not happy about it. And he'd already been speaking out, like he was going to the meetings and he was talking to the high up administrators saying, I don't like where this is going.
Yeah. And
after that, that's when the mob of students basically went after him, and the activist teachers were attacking him, and that's within a few days they had surrounded his classroom. And he was trying to talk to these kids, and they were just screaming over him, calling him a racist, telling him he needs to apologize to the teachers, who were the activist teachers, that these kids were probably underneath. But, they took over the campus, and I already went over that. They were making all these demands, and that guy did not get any support from the college. He just got fired, and he had to, sue the college. So that's a trend. Speaking out against the ideology that's taking over society will just get you punished, and that's obviously that is not the way it should be, but that's kind of where it's going. So, and it's also this is something my mom told me. If you see someone getting blasted by the news, they're probably telling something that's true. If they're just across the board getting lambasted and destroyed and getting, or canceled is the other term, then it's because they probably said something that was true. And isn't that kind of messed up?
Yeah, this is kind of relates to that. So, have you ever watched the show The Bachelor?
Yeah.
Great show. Me and my old lady watch it all the time. So, they had this is the first time in TV history, or the show's history,
I know.
They had a black bachelor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And he picked a girl to be his girlfriend that was white. And back in 2018, there were some pictures that surfaced of her at a plantation party, but it didn't show that she was there. But she was at some party, celebrating and stuff like that. And he didn't like that, so he broke up with her. And they had a 2-hour special about being educated and what it's like to be black in America every day, and people don't know what they go through. Anyways, the host of the show, Chris Harrison,
yep,
he got kicked off the show because he was like, yeah, that was back in 2018. That's 3 years ago. Who cares? And people were freaking out about that and stuff like that. And yeah, it was just a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
They had a 2-hour special, and they had a black host, the black bachelor, and then a lady that posted the picture.
Wow. I didn't hear about that.
It was pretty fun. It was hard to watch. It was cringy, and it was pretty funny.
That's happening everywhere, and it's you get attacked, and that's another thing. If it's a celebrity or someone who says something harmful, or the Gina Carano, have you heard of her? She's an actress on The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, she got canceled.
She got kicked off the show, and she got destroyed. So now she's making a show with Ben Shapiro, and she's the main character. So that's an example, because I don't remember what she said.
Yeah, just imagine if the Bachelor picked, or it was a black girl that they dated with, and she was at that party. You think they make a big deal about it?
No. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I have another example like that. So we get the Timberlake topic every week.
Yep.
And they put in an article from, it was a statement Biden had put out. He was instilling a national agriculturalist day, or a national farmers day, and I'm like, cool. I mean, giving love to the farmers and whatever, that's cool. And I read it. It was only a few paragraphs.
Yeah.
And halfway through, he said, me and my Vice President Kamala Harris, I'm not going to say this word for word, but we're still working towards equality, things like that. He said, there's a lot of black and minority farmers out there who don't get the same opportunities, and we're constantly working towards racial equity. And he installed the race into something about farmers. Like, if you're gonna announce a day for National Farmers Day, don't bring, like, that's the problem, is race gets brought into everything, and there can be racial discrimination. I don't believe there is systemic racism in the way they say there is. There was in the past. There was racist policies in the past.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And that does have consequences today that can still be felt today. But it's not like. Anyways, before I go off on that, yeah. So he was just like, let me talk about racial equity right now in this National Farmers Day statement. It's like that. There you go. That's why everyone talks about race every second of our lives, is because you're putting it in everything. Farmers and black, like, I'm sure black farmers aren't going to be like, there's a lot of black people who are not into this ideology.
No.
Like, even Clement, my friend Clement from Minnesota, he was telling me a story about how he was in a Walmart, and this black guy went up to the lady working, and he was like, hey, I'm having trouble finding this. Can you help me find this? And I don't know what she said. She must have said something, but she was like, oh, I'm sorry if that was racist. And, like...
What?
Yeah, and the black guy was just like, no, I mean, I don't have... she must have not said anything that bad, but maybe she's so hypersensitive of this from all the content she's reading or watching. He's just like, no, it's not a problem. She's like, all right, okay, but, she must have repeated it like 2 or 3 times, like, if that was racist, I'm sorry. And he was just kind of like, I'm just trying to find Cheez-Its or whatever, like, can you help me? And she, I don't know Cheez-Its, but here, hold this up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Clement just said it was a very awkward situation, because, like, there was a bunch of people in the store, and they were all kind of watching this go down, and that's a product of what this is, because there are plenty of black people who you could say are more conservative, and they are not entrenched in, like, the racial politics.
Yeah, like, that's just crazy to think about.
And so it's just, to them, I mean, I know there's a lot of more conservative black people. There's, what's her name? I can't remember her name. Candace Owens? You ever heard of her before?
Yeah, I know her. I mean, I don't know her personally, but I see her on Fox News and stuff like that. Yeah.
And then there's this guy, this older gentleman named Thomas Sowell. He's written a lot of books about, how the fallacy of what's going on in today's society, about how they're basically teaching young kids to just be, like, young black people to just rely on the system, be sensitive towards their race, like, let it become a barrier. But if you bring those up to anyone who's on the liberal side, they have terms for them. They're like an Uncle Tom. They're like and I don't know why Uncle Tom's a term. He must have been like a traitor or something to black people back in the day.
Isn't that a discriminatory comment? Or
yeah, well, yeah, they call him, like, if you're a conservative black person, you're more than likely an Uncle Tom.
Yeah, that doesn't. I never heard that. I mean, I've heard Uncle Tom before, but I never heard in that phrase. Yeah, context.
So, I mean, it's, and the thing that Biden said back in the day, like, if you don't vote for me, if you vote for Trump, you ain't black.
Yeah,
you heard that? He said that on, like,
or if you don't vote for me, that's what Joe Biden said.
Yeah, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. So you're not only dividing blacks and whites, you're dividing, like, conservative blacks from their non-conservative black friends. It's terrible, and I guess that's kind of been the theme since Trump took office. I'd say is just divide the people. You go on Facebook, it's just hateful messages all over the place. And I mean, I'm not, like, a huge Trump fan with everything he did.
Yeah.
I'm more conservative. I did like Trump at the beginning. Later on, I started not enjoying all the things he was doing. But I mean, even, like, conservative people are like, no more BS, Trump. It's just kind of the, kind of rednecky conservative people there. Trump was, like, the savior. So it's just like, it's not good for political discourse if you can't have conversations about anything. without being called a racist.
Yeah, pretty much, like, when I think of, like, a Trump supporter, I think of someone who's, like, a redneck, flying a Confederate flag and a Trump flag on the back of their pickup. And singing Sweet Home Alabama or something like that.
I mean, I've encountered that with, like, my Catholic friends from Omaha when I went to school down there.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit of them who will wear, like I will not wear a MAGA hat in public.
No.
I'm not, I mean...
No, sir.
I'm not going to do it because you're just opening yourself up to, like, people get beat on the streets. And I'm not saying I'm not wearing it because I'm scared. It's just because that gives off a very strong message.
Yeah, because...
And it's very pro-Trump, and I'm not going to say I'm pro-Trump. I'm just conservative.
Yeah, that's like you see like someone wearing like a Trump shirt or a MAGA hat. You see them like on Facebook like causing riots or carrying a flag down the streets or something.
Well, I mean, yeah. So, and then you have on the opposite spectrum of that. I don't know anyone who wears Biden T-shirts, but it could be like the LG rainbow shirt, rainbow flag,
putting their bumper sticker on their car. I've seen those a lot, but I don't publicly see people wearing Biden stuff.
No, yeah.
I mean, I could see why, but...
And I don't know, we're just basically talking about societal issues at this point. It's just, we haven't talked about anything serious on this podcast yet. Well, when me and Joseph went to Omaha, we talked to my friend Daniel. We talked a lot about, Catholicism and stuff like that. So that was good, but I've been itching to talk about politics for a while, so this is good.
Yeah, I just go what I see off the internet and see what I see on Fox News and CNN, and I just laugh at them. And I have my own views of thinking of it. But that's
the other thing is, well, you can have your traditional media, which is Fox, CNN, MSNBC, but even Fox isn't great. I mean, it's propaganda straight up.
Oh, 100%. Like my grandma Sandy in Wilbur, she watches Fox News all the time, and I was like, Is this real?
I mean, I'll watch Tucker Carlson.
Oh, yeah, he's funny.
I like him.
He's funny.
And he's actually, you can tell he's kind of spitting truth a little more, because he's gotten booted off Fox. He's gotten suspended from his show multiple times. Because
really?
He'll say something that they don't like. And I wouldn't say Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity, not so much. But Carlson, yeah, he's a good one.
He's funny.
But yeah, I mean, and you have the old people who watch CNN. So CNN used to probably be good back in the day.
I guarantee but nowadays... It's
straight.
Everything...
It's garbage.
Yeah, it sounds like the world's going to fall on top of everybody's head, and they talk about it for 3 days.
Yeah,
it's annoying.
The news cycle. That's why people, young people are going to YouTube. Like, I usually get my news from this guy named Tim Pool, and he's not even conservative. He's like a libertarian guy. But
so he's like a middle
yeah,
man?
He's more, he says he's pretty middle of the road on most things. But even, his whole YouTube channel is him just railing on, what Democrats are doing, all the ideology stuff that's going on in, the colleges, because he's just, he could rail on the conservatives, but this stuff is more damaging, it's just toxic to society, so that's what most of his content is like that, and he'll put some good stuff on, but that's, another thing is just taking a break every once in a while, especially during, when the Rona was hard up, going
yeah. So that's what I saw literally every day was how many COVID cases people would get. That's about it, and that's literally all I saw.
And I mean, side note, they never say, "Here's how many recovered."
Yeah.
No, it's all just deaths and cases.
Yeah, actually, Dakota News, Territory News. That's Black Hills News. They would actually, I think they're the only news station that I've seen that would actually have the recovered cases along with their deaths and how many cases.
Yeah, and I mean, you can find the stats online, recovered deaths, active cases right now, but they're not going to... Yeah, when I was in Watertown every day, when it was getting bad in the summertime, when I'd be at work, the Minnehaha County has this many cases, just the spikes and what's going on. So you're just instilling fear in the populace. Like you said, I know a lot obviously if you're an older person, you do have to be careful.
I would be.
So I'm not going to bash on older people who want to be careful because... they have compromised immune systems, but young people who are and it's, this is another term it's kind of a stereotypical term that's been overused, but
yeah.
You're virtue signaling when you're posting something along the lines of, I can't believe how many people I'm seeing gathering in groups, care about your name. And this is something I've been seeing in the tribe a lot.
Yeah.
Here's an example. This is how you know, like, the tribal radio, Frasier, I'm not a fan of at all.
I'm not either.
Checkpoints, locking down Eagle Butte for a week, 10 days.
It's communism. It's dictatorship. There's no reason to do that.
Mandating masks in a rural area where the amount of people you see on a day-to-day basis is low compared to a city.
Maybe 4.
You're not packed in a subway in Isabel. But anyways, if you listen to the tribal radio, 89.5 or 93.5,
yep,
it's very much wear a mask, socially distance.
Wash
you know,
your
the
hands.
mantras that have become wear a mask, stay 6 feet apart. What's another one? Get vaccinated.
Yeah, get vaccinated.
Vaccine.
If you're sick, stay home.
If you're sick, stay home. Which I do agree with. Like, you know.
Yeah, it's just common sense.
Yeah, but if you go to a grocery store or anywhere around here, and I've thought about this a lot and kind of why this is.
Okay.
You will see 30 people, and I'm going to say they're white people. They're not wearing a mask. You'll see a few older gentlemen wearing masks, or ladies, a few grandmas.
Elders.
Yes. But, you know, 90% of the people aren't. And then you'll get like a whole family of natives walk in and they're all wearing masks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just, I mean, it's just you're indoctrinated. Like, I have conservative friends who live in the cities who will wear their mask everywhere even when they don't have to, just because they're so used to it now. So if you're from Eagle Butte and you need to wear a mask to get into any store, then you're just going to throw it on because it's like habit.
Yep. Yeah, I don't wear my mask unless I absolutely have to. Like,
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, I have to wear it when I'm in school, but...
Are they pretty strict about that still?
No, not really. I mean, like, half of the faculty at the YC don't even wear their mask, or it's
yeah.
Here, which then I do the same thing, too, because if they're doing it, I might as well do it.
I mean, yeah, no one... I mean, I'm not going to say no one, because people do, but the majority of people don't believe, really, in the masks.
Yeah, people I mean, as the year goes on, you see more people get sick of it, or they just put their mask down and stuff like that.
And I mean, going back to my... I'm not trying to attack Native Americans. You know that. I'm just like, people... I'm not saying anyone's going to watch this thing, but if this was like a widespread thing, you'd get attacked for saying that, you know?
Oh, yeah. Well,
and
I'm Native, but it's okay.
Yeah, he's brown, but...
Yeah.
You know, it's not just saying, like, the color of their skin, it's just, you know, the old grandmas are probably watching CNN, or there's young people who wear them, and it's just what you're surrounded by, what you hear every day.
People try to bash you for not wearing a mask.
That too, but that's the other aspect of it, is
annoying.
like, they're trying to, I can't remember where I heard this, but
they're killing our people! That's what my cousin called me about. Long story.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get you though. Yeah, I mean I don't remember if this may not have been about mask wearing, but
yeah,
it was more. I heard this from somebody. It was more about just virtue signaling in general.
Mm-hmm.
Are you running out of time?
No, okay. I got time.
It's easy. That's why they call it like signaling your virtue, because it's easy to look like a good person when you're in that situation. You're saying you should be wearing a mask. What? And if someone's like, well, I don't think they work, and someone will come back with, you know, well, I just care about other people. I'm protecting my community. So that's how they're advertising it. They're playing on our emotions. They want us to, you know, they want you to feel like you're doing
something wrong.
Something good, like virtuous whenever you are wearing the mask. So that's why, you know, it's a lot easier to say I'm a good person this way. But you know, how much is the mask doing if you, like, smoke a pack of cigarettes a day?
Yeah.
You're going to get lung cancer.
Pretty much, and I guarantee over half these masks you wear, they're just cloth masks. They don't think they're just doing it for show.
And that's the main thing. Like, it's definitely for show. Because if you can, I know so many people, my sister was just telling me a story of down in Omaha, one of the families down there went to the Goodwill store.
Yeah.
And they're like, you have to wear a mask in here. And so the guy, he's like 25 or something, he went out into his van and grabbed a plastic bag, just put it over his face, like, you know, put the handles in the ears, and they don't say anything, because I guess...
the one in the store?
Yeah, like, they were like, good, that's cool. Or people wear, like, crocheted masks, they don't have anything, you know, protecting them, but some of these people working in these stores are so adamant, and they, like, it's like they use their position of power, like they feel powerful because they can tell people whether or not they can come in based on the mask. But I mean, if you're letting people come in with a crocheted mask, obviously it's just like,
might as well not even wear one.
Yeah, at that point it's just like, yes, now you are listening to me, so I feel good, even if it's not, actually helping.
Yeah, I think it's just more up to the person if they want to wear a mask or not, or if they want to stay home. It's all up to the person. I don't think it's going to make or break the coronavirus at all, because it's going to get you anyway, or you're going to know somebody that gets it, or something, or whatever. I'm just blowing smoke.
Yeah, I know. So, in your opinion, or if you have anything to say about this,
yeah.
Obviously 2020's become like a meme at this point. I I honestly don't even like using the word 2020. I'd rather say 2020 because it's just like, 2020, am I right?
Wow, man, that was a sucky year.
Yeah. We made it to 2021. So, what do you think about the COVID happening in the spring, and then after that, just
how it affected everything?
So that's the first thing. How the amount of authoritarian measures taken by a lot of cities and states, and shutting down the economy, things that have never happened before in our society. And then add on top of that, I mean, black people have been killed before in the past 5 years, and there have been riots. Like, I can't remember the name, but there was one in 2016 or 2015 when Obama was president.
There was a riot about that?
Yeah.
Or was that with the Trayvon Martin?
I mean, Trayvon Martin. This is back when, like, BLM started initially. So then you get to this year, George Floyd gets killed, and now, black people get killed in the streets every day by cops. And it's just...
It's everybody gets killed in the streets by by cops.
But my point is just, like...
Yeah.
It's like the seams of our society are getting ripped apart because you have the COVID thing freaking everybody out.
Yep.
Either you're worried about dying, or you're worried about our country as a whole and all the things that are going on because of what the government's doing. And then you have the racial tension and the riots that like rocked cities for months. And do you think there's any correlation between those two things happening within a year of each other?
With COVID and the riots and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
I would have to say yes, because once COVID started, I feel like everybody was on their toes a little bit more, and people were getting sketched out. And then,
I mean, especially with not having a job,
yeah.
if you're running out of money, paying your rent, like, living an apartment life like a poor college kid
yep.
lifestyle like we are.
Yep.
You more so than me, I guess, because you're in the apartment in the college.
Yeah, but I was, ever since this whole COVID thing started, I wasn't afraid of it one bit, but I was getting, just seeing, all the racial tension and all the riots and unlawful things that have happened so far. That's what kind of got me worried about, especially with the whole race thing. I just think now, ever since last year, the first thing we address is race, and you're a white man, you're wrong, and
yep.
if you do this, we're going to blast you on social media and the news. But if you're black and you kill 30 people, nothing's going to be said about it.
Yeah. Yep.
You never see white people getting killed and getting put on the news. You never see Native Americans getting killed. They're never talking about the unrecorded amount of missing and murdered Indigenous women and people.
Yep.
You never see that. But if some black guy gets killed, it's all hell breaks loose.
Or even
I think there's just more. I mean, yes, there is a problem with black people getting killed in America and getting discriminated, but I think there's also problems just as big as that. Such as I say with the Native American women getting murdered and missing, and no one even knows they're gone. There's
yep.
no recorded number of it.
Yeah, that's terrible. That's something that's been getting brought up a lot more recently, though. People are trying to get that out there. Another thing is, though, just the black on black crime in Chicago. There's just been record amount of crime this last year. And
yeah.
is that on the news? No, because it's gang crime. It's just, young black kids dealing drugs because they're in a, absolutely terrible situation.
That's all you ever know.
So that's how they're making money. And then, obviously, gang wars, whatever. But that's not getting any attention. So I guess why I asked that question was more so because, you know, I just feel like there's, like, if this is the biggest thing that's ever happened in our lives, right?
Yeah.
And we're in a very uncertain time, you know, we're not settled, we're early 20s, so we don't know what's going to happen, like, 5 years from now, if we're even going to, if this can be fixed.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a long, long, long time. Anyways, continue.
But it's just the fact that, I mean, if you kind of disconnect from it and just think, all right, in April, they shut down the economy. They shut down people's jobs. You know, it started as a 15-day, not only that, but how it started as a 15-day lockdown. In a lot of these cities, it extended, and it kept extending. Oh, we need to, you know, the strain on the hospitals is too much. So all this, and just you're taking over people's lives. People, you know, so many stories. People were getting arrested for walking in the park by themselves.
Yeah, it's
just being
just
so
walking.
Draconian measures, for sure. Very totalitarian. You have that, and then you add on top of this riots, which I know there were activists, and then there were rioters who were starting the violence, and I feel like they were starting the violence for, you know, specific reasons, like activists. You know, there's paid activists, right?
Oh yeah, for like up in Dapple, up in
dudes are coming
North
from
Dakota,
California,
getting paid thousands of dollars just to go ruin stuff.
So if that's a fact, that there are paid activists, then if that was happening on Standing Rock, then that's obviously happening at these riots in the cities.
100%.
And there are stories of, like, pallets of bricks getting laid on street corners by an unmarked van, like the day of a protest, and then obviously, you know, that turns to violence. So it just seems, it's hard for me to not link those together. Like there's something going on.
Oh, it's definitely, something's inside. It's definitely happening. That's 100%.
And I think that would be the consensus of most of the population. Like, something fishy is happening. Especially, I mean, you see it every day. And this is something I've been wanting to do. Just try to add up all the things that aren't correct, or the things that have been happening that are just... An example is, I've heard this from like 5 people. I was in line to get my vaccine. Or no, not vaccine. I was in line to get tested for COVID at the hospital, but I never got tested because the line was really long, so I went home. But 2 weeks later, I got the letter in the mail that I tested positive.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard that. I heard that at work multiple times. People were saying, like, my friend said that they tested positive even though they never tested. So that's one thing, shooting up the cases. So now these are just going to go back and forth between race and corona. But, you know, it's just like, why are they... And another thing is, I've heard that hospitals, you get money, like you get compensated for the amount of cases you get.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're trying to get money for your hospital, someone's testing. I mean, I know there's been falsification of tests, or the fact that the tests aren't super accurate.
Yep, 100%. I don't know if this really correlates to this, but in my biology class we had to do a COVID project, and we had to go on a website and follow how many cases people get in certain counties. So I did Lawrence County, Spearfish, and then I did Brown County and Aberdeen. And there were some, in the beginning of it, the school year, there were some cases that there were more positive cases than people getting tested, so the spikes were like 130%. So, a little fishy, I think so.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard, since everything's so divided, you know, it's very, you're on one side or the other, and nuanced conversation doesn't really exist anymore. So it's like, you're a conspiracy theorist, we're conspiracy theorists for all the things we've been saying.
Yep.
And, I mean, I think there is a conspiracy of some kind. If this unprecedented COVID thing happened, locking down the country, and then these race riots, which I believe, you know, weren't, you know, there's anger. I believe that. But I don't believe it was just genuine people. Like, obviously, we already talked about paid activists. So I just feel like this has been fabricated, but for what purpose? It's just, it's scary. Like, that's why I take the breaks. Like, during Lent, it was really nice not to see anything political, because, I mean, it's exhausting.
Yeah, I mean, I do think coronavirus is a real thing, but how people perceive it is a little blown up. Like,
if you're letting it rule your life, then
Yeah.
that's a problem.
like it's a little bit more than the common cold. That's how I see it.
Yeah. But
yeah, I do believe they're like Antifa and people are getting paid to go riot and stuff like that. I totally 100% agree that could be the issue. Same thing with the Trump supporters storming the Capitol.
well, that's another thing that was very. I mean, I don't know so much about that, but that's
Pretty
something
funny.
that they blew. They call it an insurrection. They made it. People were making comparisons, like how traumatic it was to society. Like, people were comparing it to 9/11.
It was not that. They literally walked in.
Yeah, like, if you watch videos, they weren't, like, burning the building down. Like, they were walking around like tourists. I mean,
Stealing stuff
people did get shot, though. People
Oh.
got killed. 3 people got killed.
Probably, and then I seen on
I think a
CNN
cop shot somebody.
something like that. I think it was a cop or some rioter threw a fire extinguisher at a fireman's head or
Oh
something.
my gosh.
I mean, but he was all geared up.
He was okay.
Yeah, he was fine.
I mean, yeah, that's another thing, like, yeah, conservatives have been led astray by thinking Trump's the savior. You know, like, once I saw Trump, basically this is how I thought of it.
Yeah.
Once Trump started pushing, like, the Operation Warp Speed vaccines and saying how we're going to get vaccines out to everybody, I was just like, no. And I mean, I'm not anti-vaccine, but I'm anti that, because I think we talked about this earlier, you know, pushing the vaccine through all that, I'm just not going to get it. And I know there's going to be mandatory vaccines. That's, like, the vaccine is the other huge topic right now. Jacob was telling me how in New York City they were passing a bill about having like a vaccine ID to get on a plane. So that's the next, like, that's carrying that to its conclusion. We're going to have an ID about, I've been vaccinated, let me into Barnes & Noble.
I just don't think that this might sound arrogant, but I don't think the coronavirus is that big of a deal. I mean, yes, it is big, but it's not that big of a deal, I think. I don't think you need to have a vaccination card just to board a plane.
I mean, that, like, this is where it's going to. Like, it's, I'm happy I live in South Dakota. We're very cushioned out here with being on a farm, and Christine Ohm has not taken any of those measures, as almost, I'd say, every other state has. Mandated some type of mask, mandated something.
Oh, yeah,
shut down businesses.
She's the real one.
She's awesome. But
Yeah.
she gets blasted. So anyways, it's just not hopeful. Like, the state of the country and the world in general. Like, so if you combine the government encroachment on rights, you combine the racial tension and the riots going on, and then the stuff we were talking about earlier, like just the transgender one, just like, it's like I think I said the attack on objective truth. You know, it's
Yep.
like ideologies are taking over universities. They're taking over corporations. People are getting kicked off of social media left and right for voicing things that aren't, you know, that would be labeled misinformation.
Yep.
So it's like, I think this is in the Book of Apocalypse. I haven't read this, but I heard this from a priest. It's like, in the end times, I'm not saying we're in the end times, but
That seems like it, though.
basically, like, right will be wrong, good will be bad. That's how it is. And I'm not saying it's like that in every way, but let's take, for example, if you're not pro LGBTQ and you're a Christian, then you would be labeled, you know, an insensitive bigot. Whereas, some people are saying, so if you're on that side, you're saying, well, we need to respect people. We need to respect humans. We need to love each other.
Yep.
And if you're a Christian, you're saying, well, I'm respecting God and God's law. Or things like, you know, just like abortion is an even easier one.
Yeah.
If people are saying, well, an abortion is a woman's right, you know, it's a woman's body.
We're also taking someone's life away, too.
Yes. And, you know, the debate about when a human life begins. If you're a Christian, you think, like, I think conception is when the soul enters the body. That is a human now.
Yep.
And it's not your body. It is your body. You have a right to take care of it, but it's also, you were created by God. So that's the main thing. It's just like losing God in society. Like, the natural law and God's law basically mean nothing anymore. And it's all just you're just like blown about the wind by what society's standards are.
Yep.
Because now it's, 20 years ago, no one would care if you didn't like trans people or didn't agree with them.
Yeah, they just went on with their day.
Or if you weren't like pro-fat or pro, just like pro or anti. It's just a dichotomy that isn't existing because people don't actually just hate fat people or disabled people. I mean, I'm sure people do, but...
I know a few people. But yeah.
It's just...
Along with abortion, saying how the Democrats and liberals saying how you should get vaccinated. Like, well, it's my body, it's my choice.
Yeah, you can. That's the thing. Like, you can use their arguments against them, and I'm not. That's a good argument.
Yeah, I mean, if it's your choice to kill a child, then it's my choice to not get a shot. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're gonna say to you, "Well, you're endangering others." Like, well, you're killing a baby.
Yeah, you're killing a baby, no matter what.
So I guess I don't know. I don't know where to end this because this is just It's devolved into it's no longer we're not talking about transgenders anymore.
What about fat people?
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I'm not laughing at fat people, but just
this is where it becomes
the malarkey that goes on.
This is where 1 second. I really need to make sure this is going still. We're still good. Wow, we've been doing this for like an hour and 40 minutes. Really? This is a long one. Anyways, this is where it becomes an attack on objective truth. Fat studies. It's in the same vein as critical race theory, all that stuff. When you have these activists saying you can be healthy at any weight.
I mean, when you're 350 pounds and 75% body fat, that is not healthy at all.
Exactly.
When you have fat morphing around your heart and your veins are clogged.
That is not healthy.
When your feet are swollen, you gotta get them chopped off, that's not healthy.
And that's honestly the easiest one to make fun of because, race, transgender, those are more sensitive topics than just... Obviously, people can be fat from, they have a botched surgery and they have something going on and they can't exercise for a while. You can gain some weight.
Or some people are just naturally big.
Some people are naturally big and it's like easier for... Some people are thin, some people are not thin. But yeah, I'd say that's the easiest one to just debunk instantly. But this is where... Because, when you're saying you can be healthy at any weight or things like... I have a friend in college, and she believes that armrests are fat-phobic. So that's why in the cafeteria they don't have armrests in their whatever their chairs or seats are because armrests are fat-phobic because you're saying this is what the ideal size of a human being should be. I say, see, that's where you're looking at something so I don't know the word.
Ridiculous?
You're looking at something like an armchair on a chair. And you're saying, let's look at this through the lens of fat studies. I'm a fat person and I can't fit into that chair. I'm going to guess that they put those armchairs, they're putting the arms in there to keep me from their chairs because they don't like me because I'm fat.
Yeah, that's a bunch of crap. Lose some weight.
You know what I like? I like doing this. That's just comfortable having my arms right there.
Yeah,
I'm not feeling fat-phobic right now. I would rather have an armrest than no armrest.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's fat-phobic when you're 6'9", 380 pounds full of muscle and you can't fit in an armrest chair.
Is that size-phobic, like height-phobic?
Like you're just so huge you can't fit in a chair.
So
if you're so muscular, like the Mountain or Brian Shaw, they can't fit in a airplane chair correctly because they're that huge.
So this is where you can take this to. I have to crouch to get into this room because I'm 7'2". So I'm gonna say this house is built tall phobic. There's just there's so many veins you can go down to just say this is illogical. This does not mesh with reality or objective reality.
Or having overweight people not getting the same insurance benefits or something like that as a person who's not overweight.
That would definitely qualify as fat phobic for sure.
I don't understand. I don't see the.
It's probably because
the correlation to it.
And I may be sounding a little aggressive right now. And this is not towards fat people. This is towards the theorists who are pushing this to victimize fat people. Because there are plenty of fat people who are like, I hate being fat and I want to lose weight. And there are fat people who are like, I'm fine with how fat I am, but I'm not going to say it's good. Like, I drink 3 orange pops a day. I'm not going to say that's healthy. At this point, that's where it's going. Anything is okay. Anything goes. And that's where, the degeneration of society comes in, really.
Yeah, I think there's a certain limits of things that you have to change, such as being overweight. I don't know. I'm just not trying to be mean, but I don't know how a person can live with themselves when they're 300 pounds, get out of breath all the time, and can't exercise or can't walk right or something like that. Just miserable, you know?
Yep. And that's not to be hateful. That's just gluttony is a thing. Eating too much is a thing.
Oh, 100%.
And it's not acceptable. Like, I'm not gonna walk up to a fat person and just be like, lose some weight. But if someone tries to tell me armchairs with armrests in them are fat phobic, then that's when I'm like, listen up, mister.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even know that was a thing until you told me just now.
I was incredulous for a little bit when I heard that, because very smart people can fall into these ideologies and start taking them as fact, and that's when you just get corrupted. Like, these are bad ideas that are taking over society, and then people just live in them, and that's how they see everything. You see every interaction as, if you're a black person and you're in that ideology, you're going to see every interaction with someone who isn't black as some type of a microaggression just happened to me, or they're treating me nice just because I'm black.
Yeah, I don't think I treated a black person nicer than a white person. Is that racist? Is that?
Yeah, I have the book White Fragility. I have that. It was written by a white lady, and she said things along the lines of that. Like, I'm just gonna be, if you're a white person, you're just like, I'm gonna be nice to black people, just to be nice to them.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're like perpetuating the problem. And there's another book I have, How to Be an Anti-Racist, which is another term that's, racist or not racist.
Mm-hmm.
If you can be nice to black people and you can be great to black people, but if you aren't voting for anti-racist policies, then you're just perpetuating racism. And that's what's anti-racist? It's probably the types of things, it's probably like anti-transgender, where if you don't want to vote for, if you don't call them he or she like they want to, you go to prison. Well, that means you're anti-trans. Maybe I'm not anti-trans, I'm just pro-free speech.
Yeah.
Or, so...
You just call it how you see it.
I call it how I see it. So, yeah, that's stuff I've been looking into a lot, and, I just think it's so important because, not for us so much out here, like, I never experienced this, but if you live in a city and you have to deal with this crap, or you live in if you work in a corporation and you have to deal with this, being silent is not okay anymore. Because if you let one thing go, it's just going to go on to the next thing, and then you go to jail for not saying hello, sir, or like accidentally misgendering somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I've seen like on social media, like someone call like someone a sir when they identify as a man, and they just scream.
They lambast them.
Yep.
I like that word. So yeah, that's kind of where that's like what drives me, really. I just don't think I can be, because I kind of fell into this rabbit hole, and I'm learning all about this critical theory and all this, and I'm just, now every time I see some of my friends post something that, resembles that, I'm just like, well, I can identify what that is now, and I can tell you why that's a toxic way to think about the world. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be prideful, it's just like, I feel like I have to utilize this now. That's why I want to write this blog.
Yeah.
And write videos about it. And that's what this podcast can be, just talking about it with friends, because, we may not all be researching it, but we all have experiences of, I've seen this happen. I'm seeing it happen all over society.
Yep.
So, yeah. That's why I enjoy that stuff. And I guess I don't know why. Not, like, I try to talk to Jacob about this sometimes.
Doesn't understand.
Well, no, he understands, but he doesn't have as much to say about it as I do, because I don't know.
Because you do your research and pay attention to the things.
Yeah, and he understands why it's all wrong. But
yeah.
I guess I love to talk, so that's also why. But he's more of the strong, silent type, you know.
Keeps things to himself.
Yep. So, yeah. Well, I hope we can have you on again sometime.
Oh, I'll be back around again.
And hopefully we can have Jacob here too.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Do just like a round table talk, like Corey G.
Do they do that?
Yeah, it's called like a G Unit round table talk. There's like 6 guys around the table and there's...
Talk about fitness?
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, we could, I mean, this is pretty ghetto. I want to update our equipment. I want to get actual mics. I want to get something to where we have some type of middle connector to where we just have it in one amp, so we don't have to have multiple amps.
It's not a bad setup.
I mean, the light studio thing is very nice.
It's pretty nice.
Because before, the first time we had it like leaned up against the pre-workout and the water holder, so it was just kind of leaning there.
That's funny.
But, yeah. The podcast is a good time.
It is a good time.
And, you know, you get into conversations, then you can go watch them later. Whereas before, you're just kind of like, what did we talk about? I don't remember.
Yeah, this is a new experience. I've never done anything like this before. I would be down to do another one.
Oh, yeah. And you know, it's only on YouTube, because I don't know how to, I don't have any recording software or anything like that. I got on some guy's podcast I know in Watertown, and he had his software up and running, and he had, you know, our mics recording.
I think 4 computers or what?
He had 2. He had 2 screens, so 2 big screens, and, you know, we're just recording this and putting it on YouTube. So it's like it's a video podcast. You can't find it on Spotify.
A vlog of some sort.
A vlog, yeah.
A vlog podcast.
So, yeah. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. I'll be down to do it again.
Yeah. I hope we got somewhere with our talking of societal problems. Or if we just talked in circles, I don't know.
That'd be alright. It's interesting nonetheless.
It's just, you know, just conversations. That's what we need. We need conversations.
Yeah, we gotta let it out somehow, you know.
So, if you got this far, anyone, if you have something you'd want us to talk about, put it in the comments below. Maybe next time Jakways comes out, or questions you have, topics you'd like us to discuss, let us know.
Please don't cancel us.
But if you do,
we'll start up a new one.
We're not going to apologize about it. So that's the main thing. If you say something you truly believe and you're getting attacked for it, apologizing is just the worst possible thing to do. Because you're just compromising your own beliefs at that point. Just because society doesn't like it.
You say sorry for speaking my mind.
Yeah, sorry for saying what I think.
You guys can say what you want, I can say what I want.